Good afternoon. How are you? Well, we lost 20 degrees and we go from 60 down to 37, so more than 20. And the humidity's 27 and the wind's at 9. And I was walking on a patch just before this, and you wouldn't have been able to hear me because the wind was hitting the phone in such a way that you wouldn't be able to make it out. I think let's start with a thought experiment. Einstein used to do these. In fact, his most amazing discoveries were with his little thought experiments. But this one is concrete and real. The experiment is to put yourself in the position of somebody in Ukraine. There's a picture of a woman, older woman, cold, in an area in Ukraine where they've just bombed. And her house, her quiet apartment, if you will, is in disarray and chaos. In the picture, the door is off the frame and there are pieces of it spread in the room in front of her. She is wearing bulky clothing, head and body. She is, by all standards, a person in an apartment building, and the bombing was likely a war crime, which is just another way of describing these days all around the world as something that happened, but we don't intend to do anything about it. And if anybody does, we, the United States and others, will resist there being any sanctions for having committed war crimes. So we live in a period where Trump is a contributor, but others around the world, to the notion that the truth doesn't matter very much. And you can call me what you will, but as long as I can do what I want and you don't restrain me, I'll continue to do what I want. America's had a reputation for being the land of the free. And that freedom was housed, cabined in documents and historic changes from 1776 going forward to today. We are now lapsed freedom fighters because our leadership is doing things to circumscribe freedom and is doing it with Ukraine, whom we entered into a 10-year plan in June of last year to protect them and to find the funds for them. So what is Europe doing? Europe's doing a couple of things. But one of them is that they're seeking a new leader for freedom because it's not the United States, because it's not our president and vice president. And it's because in the open, we are denying the strength of arms and support that Biden provided that Trump and Vance won't. And I can only imagine it's a deal to lay down, to take the easy way and go with Putin in North Korea. Is this another one of these things that commentators are going to say, they have to understand. They understand. They know exactly what they're doing. And what they understand most of all is that we don't do a damn thing to stop them. Our obligations past as a nation, independent of whoever is in the Oval Office, no longer stands as a bar to just doing what the hell we want. I think it was June 13, 2024. The United States entered into a 10-year bilateral security agreement to protect, to defend, and to defend and to deter aggression. There was only one person showing that aggression. There is no question in the world that it was Russia under Putin that began the aggression. We entered into that agreement so that Ukraine could sustain their fight. Last June, G7 had released 280 billions in Russian funds. 50 billion of that went to Ukraine. Trump only seems interested not in peace, but what you might expect is to have access to the lithium deposits in the Donbass region of Ukraine. But the way the funds for Ukraine goes to their support of their people, including that poor old woman. And I don't mean she's financially poor. I mean it in the sense that as a description of her circumstance, whatever she was like before that bombing hit her home. So America is lost, soulless, and we have leaders who cower as if the bomb hit them. But the truth of the matter is that you cannot allow this world misconduct to persist and not expect a day of reckoning. And people are critical of Zelensky for saying it's going to happen in response to, I think it was Vance saying, there's an ocean between us. And I saw someone joke, what do the letters ICBM mean? And what does he think, and what does Trump think is possible? Do they believe that we will not be on that hit list if we give Russia a chance to expand into NATO and elsewhere? So that's our international failure. Closer to home, we have the Doggy or Doge strike force formed at a party among the techies based on attacking control systems, great servers in the government, and that includes the most confidential of information that is so difficult to obtain. Ask those who tried to get Trump's tax returns. But Doggy goes in and sniffs around and seizes material from the controllers for Treasury and IRS, USDA, name it, all of them, the Department of Education. Those are in the, how would we describe it, the bureau ether. That food you want to eat, knowing that you can eat it and it's safe, they're compromising that because they are firing probationary employees in all these agencies that we depend upon to be safe and secure. It's ironic that the standard of civilization is how we treat our own. And we have these agencies and services to serve and protect us, and we would destroy them. Doggy doesn't care about the bird flu outbreaks. They don't care about measles in Texas. They don't care about how we maintain our crops free of pests. They don't care if the CDC or the USDA or just go on through the alphabet agencies. They don't care if they can work. And you know, it's really kind of simple to analyze them in this way. What Doge cares to do is to limit funds that go to the general welfare and use that gap to increase the savings to the rich. And how could business prefer these people be fired? Well, it operates on a couple of levels. On one level, the unemployed go looking for a job in a market that may be a full market. And so labor will become cheaper to get a job because there'll be too many looking for jobs. Now, what about the market? Well, if you reduce the funds that people receive, that they spend on gas and food and housing and school and clothes, it has to affect the market as well. In fact, one of the economic multipliers that we deal with is when you give federal funds into the system, it has a pump priming effect, and it multiplies in the economy, and so the economy prospers. So we have a president who's defying economic sense, perhaps because he never went to that class, and he's much better at dealing and manipulating debt and bankrupt proceedings. And so this is who we have as our leader. So whether it's a moral or an economic or a dedication to the values that once defined America that are in danger right now, we have a crisis. And so in large and small ways, we do what we can. One small way I found, and I've mentioned it online, is that I have a Ukraine flag that is attached to a window of my car. You can also get magnets. For $10, you can have one or the other of these two devices. And what I found is that complete strangers have come up, knocked on the window, waved as I drove by because of that Ukraine flag. My wife Holly has one too. It is clearly a circumstance of deprivation and suffering and a reaction against the invasion of one nation of another. And the memory still of those who know about war, who've seen what it can do, and that they know that it can only compromise their life, their lifestyle, their joie de vivre, the association in their family, the harmony among our people. So, these are my observations today on a chillier excursion through the trees. Soon we'll have buds, not soon enough, and then we can complain about the heat. So I say goodbye to you today from my Cathedral of Trees. Look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.